welcome you all to Dayton Public Access Television. I'm Randy Phillips, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of DATV today. The idea of public access began many years ago when Roxy Cole had the foresight to create what we know as Dayton Public Access Television. On March 1st, 1978, operating in a single room in the basement of Roberts Hall at the United Theological Seminary, DATV went live via Viacom cable on Channel 20 at that time, that is. And thus, DATV was born. In May of 1992, DATV actually became a 501c3, or a nonprofit public charity, with a mission to serve as a community forum that empowers all citizens to learn, create, and express their ideas through electronic media. The model for public access centers that Roxy Cole established became the model for centers all across the United States, and earned her the title of the mother of access television. Since that time, we have had over 12,338 people attend workshops, offer over 79,130 volunteer hours, and produce over 95,750 television shows that have been broadcast on Dayton Community Television and beyond. I have to say over because unfortunately we didn't begin even tracking that until 1991. So there were a number of years there that we didn't even track it. So that's why I have to say over. You know, today it's the same. Our mission continues to serve as a community forum and empower all people to learn, create, and express their ideas through electronic media. And we give all the freedom to communicate and the voice of change. So welcome to DATV as we celebrate our 45th anniversary together. Tonight we have a lot of little goodies over there that you can all share and help yourself to. So I would like to welcome you to do so. But also tonight, since no one from the city was able to be here, Maggie Barlow, who is one of our board members and one that has served the longest on our board, and I'm trying to, how do I say this without getting myself in trouble?
From the newest to the oldest.
Okay. Please.
Good evening, everybody. I am Maggie Barlow. I'm delighted to serve as the treasurer for the DATV Board of Trustees, and I have a proclamation from the City of Dayton. Whereas the idea of public access television in Dayton began in 1977 when Roxy Cole had the foresight to create Dayton Public Access Television, or DATV, on March 1st, 1978, operating from one room in the basement of Roberts Hall at the United Theological Seminary, DATV went live via cable TV into homes. And whereas in May of 1992, DATV officially became a 501c3 nonprofit to offer to the public the opportunity to financially support programming by the people and for the people, a freedom to communicate. And whereas numerous DATV members and alumni have gone on to work professionally in broadcasting after getting their start at DATV. Locally, Jim Booker began at DATV and went on to work with Channel 2 and Booker's Beat. One of our DATV shows, The Joey and Elise Show, featuring brother and sister team Joey and Elise Luthman, broadcast for a few years on DATV. The family since moved to California, and Joey has won awards for Best Young Supporting Actor in 2009. He also played the part of young Luke Spencer on General Hospital and other TV shows such as Weeds, Chicago Med, Hawaii Five-0, Speechless, The Goldbergs, Teen Zoltan in Ant Farm, and Astrid Clover, along with feature films Phobia, The Last Champion, and The Long Road Home. Elise went on to become a well-known actress and YouTube content creator. Both have camera and producing credits with skills they learned at DATV. And whereas the grande dame of Dayton broadcasting, Ms. Betty Morse Rogie, from 1995 until her death in 2015, Ms. Rogie did a show at DATV called Culture Scene, originally produced by Retha Phillips and later DATV staff. Prior to 1995, Ms. Rogie had worked in radio and television since 1950, interviewing the biggest stars of the day and most notably a tour of the White House with President Lyndon Johnson, and honored guest King Olaf of Norway, which was broadcast on CBS nationwide. And whereas DATV is home to the oldest continuously running LGBTQ+ program in the U.S. The show begins in 1999 and is now seen in multiple states. Since 1991, we started tracking our statistics. 12,338 people attended 3,023 workshops and offered 79,130 volunteer hours to DATV. In 1991, we aired 95,750 new shows created by Daytonians. Whereas DATV is an original member of the Alliance for Community Media and has had 189 members of DATV who have gone on to win awards for their video productions in the competitions across the country. DATV has served as a model for access centers across the U.S., as established by Roxy Cole, founder of Dayton Public Access Television, DATV. Now, therefore, I, Jeffrey J. Mims, Jr., Mayor of the City of Dayton, do hereby proclaim March 2nd, 2023 as DATV in the City of Dayton.
And the county also was kind enough to send a proclamation, and with us is Commissioner Carolyn Rice.
Well, you took all the words. So I am not going to repeat. It's all the same statistics and the history. But what I can say on behalf of my two fellow commissioners and honestly Montgomery County as a whole, congratulations, first of all, for DATV having its 45th anniversary. And we wish you to continue to go on for years and years and years to come. But the bottom line is that when people come together, and this is a real jewel in our community, that it is an avenue for a lot of variety, unique programming, and to really connect with the community. And for that, we are very forever grateful to each and every one of you who played a role, and for the pioneers that came before with this new idea. And good ideas spread. So obviously it's spread across probably our nation. So it's wonderful that it started here. So I will just add to, I could read it all, but it would be a repeat of much of what you just quoted. But in the end, we therefore resolve that on today, March 1st, that we declare it the 45th anniversary of Dayton Access Television, and that we do, Judy Dodge, Debbie Lieberman, and myself, and we mean it from the bottom of our hearts. We wish you all very much continued success, because when you succeed, our community succeeds, because we need you and the important role that you play. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep this. Congratulations.
Since you see all this beautiful food, and we've got a few minutes before I call and wrote Steve up here to come up here and speak to you, please help yourself. So, grab a plate. So as we continue our historical perspective, I'm going to, now that I've got him running all over the place, introduce you to someone that all of you at this point know very well, our operations manager, Mr. Steve Ross.
I feel like one of those presenters at, they want you to buy a timeshare, and everybody claps for them. They give you, $50 if you come and listen to them so you can eat at Ponderosa. That's what I kind of felt like. Hey, I'm not going to ramble very long tonight, but I just want to tell you what an honor and a privilege it has been and is to serve you, my friends, for all these years. All these years. The full-time staff has been here a long time. And it's just been my pleasure to, try to increase your ability to get your message out to the community and to provide you, hopefully, with the best equipment that we can afford. And I also want to acknowledge that our good friends from Centerville, from MVCC, are here joining us tonight. We have Ray Gambrell, we have Carl Sukamel, our friend Andy Valeri, who was the program director for 120 years. They came down to help us celebrate tonight, and so I really appreciate them being here and helping us with this. So, to not belabor anything, I think I'm supposed to do something here. We have a little video presentation that kind of shows you what has gone on the last 45 years, and so we hope you enjoy it. And thank you, everyone, for coming and participating in your community through this organization. Roll it.
Hey, guys, it's your old buddy, let's say seasoned buddy, Jim Booker, celebrating 45 years of DATV. I was there at the beginning when it was Access 30 Dayton. Can you believe that? 45 years. And I was one of the first people they allowed in at 6 years of age. Okay, that's a lie. But listen, I got to tell you a little bit about DATV. Back in the day, I was talking to Sherman Ross. And what's that? Steve Ross, I apologize. And Steve and I got to talking that back in the day, the 3 TV stations and the 1 newspaper would have editorials where the general manager would come on with a topic of the day, sewage plant, leaf raking, cleaning the gutters, what have you. And then they would pick 1 or 2 people to come on TV and do an op-ed, which was kind of cool. So they could then rebut. Can you say rebut on video on this thing? I think you can. And on what the general manager was talking about. Well, the newspaper then did the same thing. Well, DATV is now the op-ed. Man, people get it. 45 years of giving your own opinions and righting wrongs and not that the city is to blame or the county or anybody, but if there's something not right, you can get on there and say, wait. Let's correct that. I got a couple of facts that will challenge that. So, at any rate, public access was born, and it's been around this many years. Let's keep DATV around for another 45 years, so I can do another video like this. Oh wait, I'll be like 98. Well, if I can still talk, I'll do it. And keep up the good fight, will ya? Because there's been a lot of people that have gone through DATV and done some great things. And let's continue to do so, okay? So get on them. Let's do this. And now, some highlights from the past 45 years.
finally on, and we are extremely happy that it's finally happened.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I should be wearing a mink if I'm going to be part of that crowd.
Every customer.
There is still a lot of work to do to reap the full promise of Dayton.
We're having our Christmas paint on that we have every year. The weather's really nicer this year than it was last year. We're hoping it won't rain.
We have another special here for you, and it's Mr. William Pace.
Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. If it's a car that you like, I'd gladly buy you a car.
Render man, thank God it's you.
You need more help than I can give you, Burns.
You were talking about the horror, the heart of darkness, where Kurtz finishes up saying the horror, and I think somebody else in that book says the only horror is that there is no horror.
We couldn't use poverty to recycle it. We had to use poverty as motivation to get out of it.
Thanks for being with us, and please join us often. We're Access Dayton, the best in community programming.
Lord God, shake the heavens and the earth. Lord God, steady watching as the enemies lurk. Lord God, send destruction and pestilence of every sort. Lord God.
Your access to the public. Get involved in your local cable access television station today. Camera operators, producers, directors, editors, floor directors, and much, much more.
We're here at DATV's new pod studio. DATV's pod studio is now on the air.
And that's your own fault. Never queen is on your throne. Next time you see me, things won't be.
Go away, I'm busy.
DATV lovers can win a night of romance at the Radisson Hotel and Suites in downtown Dayton.
She gave me the milk and cookies.
Waited so long for this.
That you built this whole thing just so you could talk to people.
Yeah,
about
just so I could
movies.
talk to people. So I'd have I could faux it as a social life.
Right.
Good, good.
Na koji način vi dobivate informacije o šta se dešava u svijetu, kulturi?
Da. Tako da to bi se moglo promijeniti među našoj generaciji.
I da na neki način izdvojimo ono što nama smatramo da je najbitnije.
And you tell them I'd rather be buried up to my neck in my own waste with nothing to eat but flies than to betray my nation's trust.
I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle
glows.
Thank you guys so much. Remember, Dayton, you're not alone. Have a good night.
I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way.
Hello. Hey, real quick, just a couple of things there. You see the importance of what you do and what our friends down south do in Centerville for the community. You know, together, both of our stations kick butt around here because the broadcasters don't want to give you time. We want to give you time. And a real quick story, you saw those kids, you probably weren't understanding what they were saying because they were students from Bosnia, Herzegovina. Say it. That's it. Anyway, they came here for a tour. There were 27 of them, and we broke them up into groups, and some of them were on set, some of them were working the equipment out here, and some were in there. And the enthusiasm for their ability to do what they were doing was unbelievable. And they said, we don't have anything like this. We are not encouraged to do anything like this where we're from. They were highly intelligent, informed on what they were talking about. They were talking about what their impressions of the United States was and what was going on in their country. And I just think that we're all very blessed to have what we have here. And hopefully we'll see and hear more from those students. They were actually doing a podcast in the pod studio, interviewing some of their friends that were in Bosnia, and they were using their cell phones to talk to them. And it's hooked up in the control room in there. And they realized how powerful it was. It's powerful what goes on here. So remember that and never diminish, your thoughts or lower your thoughts on how important what you do is to the community. So without that, I would like to bring Randy back up, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Actually, I'm just introducing Melissa Mills, who's going to introduce I'm sorry. It's been a minute since you heard that one, huh? Constantine.
Okay. I will always be Melissa Mills here.
Okay.
Because I've been here since I was 2. 1 year prior to our keynote speaker, Dr. Charles Williams, who was a board member, started in 1985. Before that and during that, he was a professor at Sinclair College for over 40 years. And he did some miraculous things while he was here at DATV. And unfortunately, he moved out of the city, so he had to go off the board. And hopefully that may change. But Charlie always supported us. I remember attending a regional conference, and I'm sitting next to him, and they had they were looking for people to join the Alliance Central States board, and he put up his hand. He said, "Melissa Mills," and I'm like, "What are you, crazy?" And he said, you are ready. I know Roxy knows you're ready. So I went on the board for, 8-9 years, and then served 2 years on the national board. And then I bought a house, and I said, okay, I'm done. I can't afford, the travel, or I want to be at my house and all that. But I was blessed to be there, and I was blessed to have Charlie have the confidence knowing that I can help lead the ACM and the Central States Conference on. So let's welcome Dr. Charles Williams, Jr.
Thank you, Melissa. Obviously, we go back a long way. And I'm going to share some things with you tonight. One of the funniest stories that we talk about with Melissa, I always tell this, is that computers were just starting to come in. And Roxy Cole had given Melissa a task to perform. And so Melissa looked around and said, Roxy, I can't do it right now because all the computers are in use. And so Roxy got up from her desk and went to the supply cabinet and pulled out a pad of paper and a pencil and handed them to Melissa, said, here, Melissa, see if you still remember how to use these. I want to talk to you briefly this evening, and I'm not, after I've listened to a lot of things here, I'm going to cut a lot of things out. I was going to talk to you so much about DATV as a ministry and how the ministry of this operation was a whale in the mainstream of community media. And at the time it started, it was community access television. And then as the ministry progressed, and some of you may, don't worry, I wasn't going to preach a sermon. I'm not going to preach a sermon because I wouldn't want it critiqued by Reverend Dr. Harris. I certainly wouldn't want that. He's going, yeah. But you may think that is an unusual term to use for a facility of this nature. But remember, a ministry is any calling to make the world a better place, to help people, to love people, to bring people together, and to bring harmony. And that's certainly what this place has been all about for 45 years. And like all ministries, there's a mission statement. And the mission statement basically, yeah, come on in, don't mind me. Come on and get something to eat. Come on in, don't mind me. And basically, the mission statement for this ministry has always been, and I learned that the first few months I was here, is the vehicle by which the community learns the community's business. Now that makes it a better community, right there. But now it's not all cupcakes and lollipops in terms of the mission of community media. And we all know that. So you don't have to worry, there's not going to be some sort of hellfire and damnation kind of sermon. But although there has been some hellfire and damnation that's come out of this place, right? I'm looking over at Dorothy. Now I done picked on Melissa. Now I'm going to pick on you. I'll never forget that time when you made the arrangements. She always made all these arrangements for volunteers, and she made the arrangements for us to go down to a Bengals game. Oh, and she's going, she knows what I'm about ready to talk. We're going down to a Bengals game. And ironically enough, this was the Sunday before 9/11. And we were coming back from Cincinnati, and I-75 was all tore up. All tore up, and we were slowing down and slowing down and slowing down. And people started grumbling. Why'd he have to come here? No, this is wasting my time. I thought I was going to be back in Dayton before this. And people started griping. And so talk about some damnation. Dorothy yelled up, all right, I don't want to hear it. Y'all keep it up. I'll tell this man to stop this bus and throw all your behinds off right here on I-75. I worked too hard for this. I didn't work to hear all this mess. We'll throw all of you off this bus. The noise stopped right then and there. It stopped right then in there. A couple of so many funny things have happened. And one of the funniest things that I'll never forget that happened right here in the studio. I was doing my Dayton information program, was on the set. And lightning struck the studio in the middle of the performance. The lights went out, bam, everything went out and shut down. But I don't know, there must have been backup generators or something. But we came right back on. So after on the air, we were on the air live. And so the director, we kept the program, we just kept the program going. But then as we started going, all the camera people started cracking up laughing. And we're on the air live now, and they're starting to crack up laughing. I'm looking at the guests are looking at me like, what are they laughing at? Did we say something funny? And so we continued with the show, and then we finished up the show, and then we always have a post-production. And in the post-production, I said, why was everybody cracking up laughing during the program? And then the camera people and the director all started cracking up laughing again. I says, well, what's so funny? And the director says, well, when the lightning hit the station, I did a camera check to see if everything was fine. And he did camera number 1, okay, camera number 2, camera number 3, camera number 4. And camera number 4 evidently was still shaking. And he said, I'm all right, but I sure could use another pair of underwear right now. So there have been a lot of funny things that have happened here. But there's been a lot of things that have been very serious that I've seen over the course of time. We said that access is the vehicle by which the community learns the community's business. Well, at the time I came on, it was in the midst of a tremendous controversy. Because sometimes there are people in the community that think that certain information shouldn't go over the air. And our executive director at the time, Roxy Cole, did a program on the investigation of organized crime in the police station. This did not go over very well. Needless to say, it did not ingratiate herself to certain leaders. And the board was split, and I was coming in the middle of all of this, because you had people that had political connections on the board naturally, and then those of us that didn't have any political connections. And I later came to find out that she went into one board meeting and she didn't think she was going to come out with a job. I don't know if you remember that, Melissa. She didn't know whether she was going to still be the executive director of DATV. And as I think back over the course of the community, the ministry of the community being able to learn the community's business, like I said, it's not all cupcakes and lollipops. And DATV, the staff and the board, was very active nationally with what was called the NFLCP at that time, National Federation of Local Cable Programmers, which is now the Alliance for Community Media, because we know this whole concept expanded from television to media. And we knew that what it was happening, and our goal is to uplift and to safeguard and be the stewards of the First Amendment, whether you like it or not. And what was happening at this time was that access centers all over the country were having to deal with groups such as Aryan Nation and the white racist militias, and they were bringing programming to the access stations. And it had already been settled that if they were denied access, the center could be sued and they would win, as long as the programming was not advocating the overthrow of the American government. Then you could refuse to put it on the air. Well, naturally, we knew that eventually in Dayton we were going to have to deal with this. So I got a call from Francine Rakel, who was the executive director at that, said, Charlie, we got a situation. This programming has been given to us. We have previewed it. And it's an Aryan Nationist national church, and I'm not going to name the community, that has brought this to us. She said, and for those people, because this is going to go on the air, so I want to make sure I make this disclaimer. I am just repeating language that was on the programming that we had to put on the air as long as they had complied with all the center directives and the process. And Francine said, Charlie, I've never heard anything like this. He's referring to Martin Luther King as Martin Luther Coon and making statements like he was a minister. He was considered to be a minister. This ain't no love thy nigger kind of sermon, and was going on with all this kinds of stuff. She said, Charlie, we've got to put it on because we'll be sued and we'll lose. So the strategy was put in place. The staff was immediately brought together and told and prepared for this to happen. And I think that night, it went on at 5 o'clock. They made sure that all the staff was here because we knew if they were expecting a flood of calls and attention to the center once this went over the air. And it went over the air. I watched it from home. It was sickening. But let me tell you what happened. The center received, and I don't know if you remember this, Steve, the center, because I remember Steve telling me this, the center only received 4 calls. And every one of the call was from a white person who found the programming to be disgusting and complained that it should not be on the air. One mother said she was sitting in her living room with her children to have an evening of television watching, and they were surfing through, and she said that came on the air and came into her living room, and it was a disgrace that her children had to hear something like that. Only 4 complaints. Now, we did have to go to the city commission in the event that there were going to be complaints at the city commission, and we had to deal with it and explained the situation. And there was only one complaint that stood up and protested. And believe it or not, you know who that was? Huh? No, it wasn't Dottie Tash. No, it was Reverend Raleigh Trammell. He stood up and he pounded and he said, we all need to go down to DATV and protest. But we gave the explanation of what this was about. And we used this as an opportunity to extend an invitation to anyone in the community that wanted to come into this center, get up on that set and give a rebuttal to that programming. Now, access media can be some dangerous stuff. Now, let me tell you what happened to our Nazi. Come to find out, there was a warrant out for his arrest. There was a warrant out for his arrest. So, what does he do? Knowing there's a warrant out for his arrest, he goes to a TV station. Okay, he goes to a TV station, and as Roxy Cole would go, he goes to a TV station. So someone connected with Access called the police about this guy and said, you need to check him out. And he got more media coverage than what he thought, because he was on the evening news being arrested by the Dayton City Police. Access is some dangerous kind of stuff. It's some very dangerous kind of stuff. There was one incident, and I'm going to wrap this up. There was one incident. I want everyone to notice the shirt I'm wearing. Does anybody notice anything about this shirt?
It's green. It's white as hell.
Huh?
It's white as hell.
It's quite what?
It's white as hell.
What is flying? I'm sorry, lady. I'm 73 years old.
It's a soft shirt. It's a good shirt.
Oh, okay, fine. Thank you. I'm 73 years old. Anything else? Anything else? Anybody's ready about that? But of course, it's a big. Okay, you see how big this is?
It's bigger than the last time you were wearing it.
Huh? No, it's not going to be last time I wear it. I still like it. It's comfortable.
It's bigger than the last time you wore it.
It's big. Oh, a lot of shirts are bigger than the last time I wore it. I said I'm 73 years old. When Steve gave this to me, I told him I want the largest shirt you got. Okay. Oh, yeah, back to the microphone. When I was on the set, they had a hard time covering me on the set. I was all over the place. Steve said, this is a triple large. Are you sure you want a triple large? Yeah. Because I wanted to demonstrate, just like this DATV shirt is so huge and too big, that's what happened to community access media. It got to be too big for too many people. When it started off, people thought, oh, take your little toys and go on down to some studio and do your little thing. But this is what happened. It got too big. And we got into a conflict over our mission and with the commercial media. Every year we cover the 4th of July festival down at Island Park and the fireworks, right? Every year we're all there, and it's a big family to do, okay? It's a big DATV family to do. We go there and we cover the fireworks, everything. But Channel 45 this one year decided they were going to sponsor the fireworks, and they had exclusive rights. But then they found out the DATV was going to be there, as we usually were, to cover this. And they were determined that DATV was not going to cover those fireworks because they had paid for them and they had exclusive rights. And our executive director said, our job is to cover the community's business. This is the community's business. We've been here every year. We put those cameras up to the sky and we record it. And they said, no, well, you can't do that. We have financial. It's financially, we're paying for this. She said, well, we paid for all this. The community paid for all this. You see all this technology and everything? You see all these volunteers? This is the community. and what the community paid for. We had to get attorneys involved in Washington, D.C., all over some fireworks. The executive director was on the phone with the attorneys in D.C. and their attorneys and back and forth and back and forth. Roxy Cole told people, tonight when those fireworks go off, they're going to be on DATV. And you know something? Those fireworks went on DATV, and that other TV station had bigger problems because there were some fireworks accidents that went off and hurt some people. We didn't know what was happening. We were covering. I was on top of the van with somebody else. That's when we had the cameras on top of the van. And all of a sudden, everything stopped. Everything stopped, so we went into lockdown. We locked down the cameras. And then we're just sitting there talking, drinking pop and having sandwiches and popcorn and everything. Then all of a sudden, boom, the fireworks start going off again. And all the cameras were on lockdown and everything, so the director yelled out, "Cameras active." And people were running all over the place. You heard this, "Oh, crap," but only they didn't say crap. Because everybody was running for their cameras all over the place to get the cameras up and to cover them live. So the challenges have and will always be there. And it's like any other social justice ministry, what this is. The job's never going to be done. One of the reasons why this facility has been so successful, not only in the community but nationally, is because it never arrived. It never got to where it felt it was supposed to be. But it's going to go on. And especially, and I don't want to make a political statement, I'm just making this as a professional statement. When you take a look at what's happening in this country and what is happening with First Amendment rights and the intrusion into the academic freedom of educators in the classroom, the mission of this center and every other center in the country is becoming increasingly important. The need and the purpose of this movement, of this ministry, is not going to go away. It's going to be more challenged, it's going to be more demanding, and there are people, more and more, in organizations that are going to challenge the right for centers of this nature to allow the community to learn the community's business. And in closing, I want to make this statement. What is DATV? How do we define it? Well, this is how I define it. It's a diversified family, bonded together as an example of what this society should represent and be. You've created a wonderful safe space of caring and concern for so many people. You have laughed together, cried together, and created some outstanding works of artistic and spiritual expression and social justice awareness. Please continue, brothers and sisters. Please continue with your ministry. Your reward will be great. Thank you very much for this honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Charlie, for sharing with us, and thank you for being here with us to share this event together as we celebrate DATV's 45th anniversary. Our mission that began in 1978 remains true to today, that we continue to learn, that we continue to create and we express the ideas through electronic media. Thank you for being with us. And our tagline has always been that we give you the freedom to communicate. Beyond that, we are also the voice of change. So friends, thank you for being that voice of change, and let's continue to make change in our community. There's plenty of food there. Please help yourself, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way.